Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Gotham City Chronicles, episode 25. And we're going to be discussing Batman Arkham Asylum by Grant Morrison and Dave McKean. Joining me, as usual, is my co-host on this show, JP. What's up, bro?
What's going on?
Good to see you, man. How you doing?
Hopefully, I am doing much better than I was over the weekend. So we're
Good.
back to health, thankfully, and yeah, I'm just hoping now that my phone hotspot holds out. And I don't
that's right. The internet problems.
Because I don't have my regular internet. So hopefully, I don't just disappear in the middle of this. So,
there you go. Well, if that happens, I'll just read the whole book to the audience.
There you go.
Page by page.
Well, I have a guest. The guest tonight is better than anything I'm going to say.
That's true. Our guest tonight puts out better content than the both of us combined.
Yes.
Let's be real. And we're talking about the one and only JoJo, Flix and Comix.
Guys. Good
What's
to see
up?
you. Thanks for having me, guys. This is like my first appearance on GCC.
That's
awesome.
right. Yeah. We should have gotten you on much sooner, considering how big of a Batman fan you are. And I think you upload your own Batman story review videos and recaps.
I just feel so behind with it all because I grew up, just dabbling here and there with certain Batman comics and arcs. And now that I actually am an adult and have money, I feel like I can just go and buy these comics and read all the way through instead of just dabbling like I used to. So it's been good. It's been fun.
Well, we're glad to have you here. And I think we pretty much had a perfect kind of story for JoJo to be on because you are a big horror fan. I know this from your channel and your hauls and stuff and just our own conversations. And this story kind of is a hybrid between a horror movie and a Batman book or something. And it's very unique. And we're going to dive right into it real quick, but we're going to say a quick hello to the chat. We had Unruly Simeon hanging out. What's going on, Unruly? We got Tim, the comic collector. What's up, Tim? Good to see you, brother. We got Justin, No Good Comics in the house. What's going on, Justin? Good to see you. And that's it for now, but we'll keep saying hello to anybody who shows up. Appreciate you. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that thumbs up button because that's something you're supposed to say as a YouTube person. What's up, Warlord in the house? Good to see you, Warlord. Hello to you. All right, so man, I don't want to be the first one to say anything about this. I already kind of said a little something right there about this book, but initial thoughts, and we'll let JoJo go first as the guest. We'll let you take the floor. What are your initial thoughts on Arkham Asylum?
Initial thoughts, well, I guess going into it, I was shocked. I was shocked at how rated R this was. I wasn't expecting it to go that deep with a lot of different things, and I wasn't expecting how horrific it was either. And I love it because, as you said earlier, I am a huge horror fan and a huge Batman fan. So the combo of the two was just perfect for me. And yeah, just really, really loved it overall. But I don't want to, get too into it.
Okay, so you're a fan.
Absolutely.
JP. What about you, JP?
I will say that reading this for the first time ever when you have a fever was probably not the smartest choice.
Oh, no.
I was fighting all week.
Honestly, I think it's kind of perfect.
Because it was kind of like a fever.
Are you hallucinating?
This thing. JoJo, I think she hit it on head. I mean, it is a level of horror and that I didn't expect from a Batman story. I enjoyed it, but I will have an impossible time figuring out where I put it because I don't I like it, but I don't know how to compare it to anything else that I've read Batman-wise and to rank it in any kind of real way.
Well, let's not get to the ranking discussion yet. That's going to be really a challenge, I feel. But no, man, it's one of a kind.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Agree.
Because the one thing you can say about Batman comics is that they're not one of a kind. There's so many.
Yeah.
And this one kind of is like within that, or within that scope. So we're seeing some comments about the art in the chat, which we'll probably dive into pretty quickly here, because it is kind of one of the standout things. And you have people that are praising it for that, and then you have people that are saying that they had a hard time reading it because of that. So you have people who are experiencing that, very unique artwork in their own ways as well, which I can totally understand. So
yeah, I mean, there you go.
Yeah. So I mean, my initial thoughts. This is it. I'll keep it pretty brief, then we can dive right into the specifics. My initial thoughts were, I thought that Jim Starlin and Bernie Wrightson's Batman the Cult was like the most abstract, or least traditional, both from an art and storytelling standpoint, like kind of bizarre Batman book I've ever read. And then Grant Morrison and Dave McKean were like, hold my beer, Batman the Cult. This is this. Yeah, you thought that was eccentric, like here's this.
Was it this one?
No, this was later, I think, but maybe only a couple years, right?
Okay.
A couple years.
Where's the?
I think it said 89 for this one.
This came out 89. So I think Cult came out right before, a couple years before that, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it was all around that same time, which is just crazy when you think about how many Batman stories came out late 80s, last half of the 80s, because of this and Killing Joke and Cult and Dark Knight Returns, and Year One was all in that same.
Yeah.
I mean, the 80s was killing. 80s was killing it for the Batman stuff.
Yeah.
Let's be real. And early 90s too, with all the Nightfall stuff.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, and I didn't really say, I guess, what I thought about it. I just thought it was the most unique Batman story that I've ever read, and I have a hard time even calling it a Batman story, but it is a Batman story. But we'll get into that. We'll get into all that part. Yeah. So, should we start with the artwork? I mean, I do have the actual book here on the screen if we need to reference any pages or specific pages. Dave McKean painted this whole thing, right? Like every page was a painted page. I'm not even at the actual comic yet on this, but.
And that's the thing. It was like almost mixed media during certain parts, right?
It was, yeah.
There were photos.
There we go.
We got sculpture stuff, and then paint, like you said. It was very different.
Yeah, there were some bonus features in here on the digital version, and I think the trade paperback I had, that where Dave McKean's kind of talking about the process that he went through, and he basically created painted collage pages. Like he was grabbing other materials and stuff and just pasting them to the sides and stuff like that as well, in addition to the paintwork, to create this.
I saw that fabric too.
Yeah, fabric and stuff like that.
Fabric, yeah.
Yeah, it is
It's very unique.
Go ahead.
I couldn't hear you there. I think you broke up a little bit, maybe on the iPad.
No, I was going to tell you to go ahead. It was just, the art is just so different than anything Dave McKean just. You
almost don't even get a solid full figure Batman through the whole story. It's always it's always little shadows and little silhouettes and stuff.
Yeah, it's all
one of those. Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, where he's going in.
Yeah,
and just.
I mean, there's. What was that? No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it just felt so hazy, as if it was the entire thing was like a nightmare, you know, where
Right.
you can't really tell detail, but you know what's happening.
I mean, look at that. That's amazing.
Yeah, oof, that's killer.
I am gonna have to do my usual critiquing of the lettering with Gasper Saladino's lettering here a little bit, because, you know, similar to the Batman Who Laughs arc that Snyder wrote, I forget who the letterer was on that. I wasn't a fan of the red colored Joker lettering because it was very hard to read, in my opinion. It totally fit, you know, like you can even see it right here on these like first couple pages with Joker. Like it totally fit the artwork and stuff like that, but it just made it very hard to see. I love this double page spread here of Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, but like even on that, when the font is large, it's not even easy to read. I found it to be hard to read a little bit from a lettering standpoint.
You know, and I think a lot of that is obviously a conscientious choice to make it like crazy lettering, but yeah, it makes it. Mm-hmm. At times, you talk about that double page spread and just all the different little word bubbles and
so many things going on. Yeah,
it's hard to even follow what they're saying or what they're, you know, what's the message they're trying to put across in places, and you know, and everyone has their own unique word bubbles and colors, and yeah, it's a lot.
I really did. I did quite enjoy this passage. These couple pages. I don't even know if I can zoom this in, or I don't know. You see? Oh yeah, that.
There you go.
Where Joker and the what was her name? Ruth, psychiatrist.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Make Batman go through the ink blot like exercise or whatever, and he starts seeing the bat like that. Like I got spooked, I got creeped out, and I was just like sitting here reading it alone at my desk, like, you know, like
I'm telling you, this was scarier than some horror movies that I've seen. Like
seriously,
it really was. The imagery was just very impactful. Like you don't forget this artwork. Like it's just
no. That bat is amazing.
Right. Yeah. And then he starts, what is he like? I think he sees that's how they kind of squeezed in a Bruce Wayne origin into this, right? Like,
yeah.
Because he started doing the flashbacks and whatnot, but yeah. Of the gun and his father and mother and all that. But yeah, I mean, this.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to go back to the fabric, because then there's that part later in the story where he Amadeus Arkham wears, that's his name, right?
Amadeus Arkham, yeah.
He wears his mom's dress, right?
That's right, yeah.
And it's like haunting, just like seeing that, because you don't know, it's like a motif, like a visual motif the whole time. And you're like, why is this fabric here? And then later on, there's that reveal, and you're just like, oh, that's freaking creepy.
Right. There's the page, yes. I think I'm trying to share the specific page, but it's...
Actually, no. I'll wait, because this isn't anything to do with the art, so I'll just hold off on that.
I was just trying to find the page, which page it was that he does that, where he puts on the dress. So you can show it.
Oh, really?
I can't find it at the moment.
That's another thing, is like in the actual printed trade paperback, and I'm not sure what it was like in the original first printing or whatever, the graphic novel, but there were no page numbers, right? Like
no, there's no page numbers.
You know, so
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, there's no page numbers. So here, let me share this again. So actually the digital or whatever, and I'm trying to get, because there is a readout or whatever of the page numbers on the digital. There we go. See? So if I go, so you actually, the book is like 100, I think it's 106 pages before it gets
to. Is it really?
Yeah, well, you don't realize it's that many pages because there's so little dialogue, and the art just dominates every page. So that's the last page right there. Well, I don't know if it's loading, but yeah, so page 106 right there. So if you count the cover and all the first couple credits pages and whatnot, then it's, if you don't count those, then it's, I think it's 102 pages.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I wonder if they did that purposely just because of the whole chaos theme and stuff. Like, it's kind
The
of like,
whole losing track of where you are.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Dave McKean said that it was originally going to be a 60, or maybe it wasn't Dave McKean. I think it was like the woman who was like editing the book or editing the trade paperback.
Yeah, the lady that gave like, the afterword.
That's right. Yeah, she said it was supposed to be originally 64 pages, and what they were getting back from Dave and Grant was so, like, I guess, promising or interesting that they were like, let's not constrain this or whatever, and let's let them do their thing regardless of what the page count is going to be. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll stop sharing the screen so we could actually see each other while we discuss the stuff. But I mean, I think the art, frankly, I think the art for me is my favorite part of the book. Like, we can get into the storytelling a little bit as well, but like, like, I mean, you can't see it now because I stopped sharing. I landed on that screen where Two-Face is doing the coin flip, which ultimately becomes like the twist. That's like kind of the twist, right? Is that he had his own choice and he went the opposite way of the coin, right? And that was some sort of that was like a whole subplot within the whole book, which I found pretty interesting. But the book itself had two core subplots of Amadeus Arkham backstory and Joker, and the Rogues Gallery essentially got going wild in Arkham Asylum because of what was the name of the guy? The lead
new
guy? Yeah. What was his guy? The head guy, yeah, the head psychiatrist guy.
The one at the end.
Yeah, the guy, I guess he was the boss of Ruth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it started with a C.
And did she kill him or did she kill somebody else? She kills him. Yeah. Okay.
And then she felt like bad afterwards, which was kind of funny.
Hey, what's up, PJ King in the house? Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, I gotta share this page. I mean, I love this page.
Let's see. I can't find his name now. Dr. Cavendish.
Oh yeah,
Charles.
There we go.
Dr. There you go. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Two-Face.
Yeah, the Two-Face coin flip page. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. Like, it's so simple, but it's so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the art definitely sells everything that happens here. Because I'll be honest, like,
What's up, Sam?
his script,
Todd.
I feel like it's incomprehensible if it wasn't for the art. Like, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, like, I'm not like just a little bit of a precursor. Like, I'm not the biggest Grant Morrison guy. Like, everything, like a lot of the other stuff I've read by him I haven't necessarily clicked with as much as I hear others do,
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I keep freaking doing it.
No, go ahead.
Did you guys?
That's the way this show works.
Okay, I'll just
interrupt each other until whoever's point surfaces to the top. That's pretty much.
So
the show.
There were certain parts where I felt like Batman's voice was a little inconsistent. Like when he would speak, it was very clear and it was to the point. But then like his thoughts were a lot more like complicated, a lot more eloquent, poetic almost. It was weird. I was like, that doesn't sound like Batman, And then as it went on though, I was like, all right, it's a little better. I don't know. But in the beginning, it just felt a little off to me.
Hey, Sharon.
Hey.
I don't disagree with that.
I mean, it's a very different take. And yeah, I would say there's some inconsistency there. I feel like, to me, one of the weaknesses is that like he sort of gives in to this whole craziness, like that they're trying to make him go crazy by having him trapped in the asylum with them. But he sort of gives in really quick, like initially. Like,
yeah.
Like he's falling.
He's like, why are you just like standing there, like listening to these guys?
Yeah,
like that's kind of what like
line.
it kind of like that's why I agree with what JoJo said, because like I understand you're trying to go in and do something different. Something the word I was looking for earlier when I was talking about the cult is cerebral. This is like it's a very cerebral story, and it's like the words itself is like they're like painted words in a way almost. It's like it's more like poetry than it is to me. Like that's when I look at it, like the combination of the abstract art and the ambiguous almost at times dialogue, it's like poetry to me more so than it is storytelling. And there's pros and cons to that. And I think what ended up being the big pro for me was the whole Amadeus Arkham side of it as far as storytelling, and maybe the mixed feelings part was the whole Batman part of it for me. I mean, as much as I thought the art in those parts were incredible, but the words like I had at some points during that storyline I had a hard time following, like, are we talking about Batman right now, like, you know, or is this the Amadeus story being told with Batman, but with Batman in the scene as some sort of metaphor for that? Or
I think that was purposely done, I guess, because there were parallels, like with the mother theme too. Like throughout, they kept mentioning mothers dying, and I think they're both like victims of tragedy, like horrific tragedies, and then they both end up kind of going crazy at the end, even though, you know, Batman / Bruce Wayne deals with it in this way. You know, he's not, you know, he's pushing through, I guess, the PTSD, if you want to call it. But you can argue that he's still crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to back up Sharon's, it sounds kind of confusing. I mean, it is kind of confusing story.
It's more than kind of. I mean, I would say that from a storytelling standpoint, the Amadeus Arkham side of the story is much easier to follow, and even though it's like jumping around and like different times for him and what. And
there's a through line. There's a through line to it that I can sort of walk away from it and be like, okay, that's canon. That's my head canon now for Amadeus Arkham. I don't really know anything about canon in this book at all. I didn't bother doing that research.
I don't think it is. I don't know.
Okay. Well, whether it is or isn't, now it's kind of like my head canon now, as far as like the family that created this facility and their tragedy, you know, that led to essentially kind of like the haunting of Arkham Asylum, right?
Yeah.
Which sounds like a great movie name.
It really does. It's like the typical haunted house story.
Right?
Yeah. The parts that really confused me, I was okay with the Batman and Amadeus like parallel stories. What confused me a bit was what you had mentioned about like, why is he just like standing there? Why is he just literally going room to room, like listening to these dudes without really doing much about it? And then when he would speak, it felt like he didn't know what to say, or it was just very brief.
Yeah, it was like a James Bond villain scene where like James Bond is just like hanging out with the guy that you know he's gonna take down in the end, and he's just standing around like entertaining this, like his side of the story. Like in this case, the Joker / the guy who's running this facility, who ends up sort of being the mastermind by way of him allowing these criminals to run wild in Arkham and draw Batman in, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I because there was one scene where he's like, "What's Harvey doing here?" like, or whatever, and he's just like, "Okay, he's here, cool." You know, like I'm like, okay, this is This is different,
Yeah.
you know?
And then
Yeah,
some of the
and
villains
I
were
would
weird too. But
Yeah.
go ahead, JP.
I think we got iPadded out
sorry,
by
I
JP.
think-
There we go. You're back.
Can you guys hear am I back?
You're back.
Yeah, I just thought like that and what you guys were saying, and then some of the villain interactions when he's like running from them or they're chasing him through the asylum, like some of them just didn't like. I had a hard time figuring out exactly what the heck even they did to each other or
Yeah.
happened. Like it was just
There was about 20 pages there where I think they were telling the Amadeus story, but they were showing all these panels or these pages of Batman and these rogues, and I had no idea what was going on.
It was
Todd has a good point in the chat. Yeah, I also felt that way with Scarecrow. I know it had something to do with like the etching on the ground, but I didn't know what that meant. I think.
Yeah.
Mad Hatter did kind of come off as creepy.
Oh,
I mean, a lot of things. I mean, a lot of things came off as
everything was creepy.
Yeah, this is one of the creepiest Batman stories by far.
Yeah,
that I've ever read.
And I feel like he kills a couple of these villains, like in this
Batman.
Yeah, like Dr. Destiny.
What was confusing about it though was like
I have to look for those pages now.
It was hard to tell for sure, but like, or not? Was it the guy that's in the wheelchair? Is that Dr. Destiny or whatever? Or yeah, he like pushes him down the stairs. And
like that.
Yeah, he throws him out of the wheelchair and down the stairs, and you see him like splatted like at the bottom, and it's like, did he just kill him? And then like.
There you go.
And oh, sorry.
I figured it's easier for you to just show the book because my computer is like not handling like the comic on the screen at the same time.
Yeah, who the heck was that guy? The one in the wheelchair?
Yeah, I don't know.
There were certain villains that I just couldn't identify. There were like two of them, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
How about this page?
Am I still here? Still big, but yeah. Yeah, and he's swinging the axe.
He's swinging the axe, right?
I forgot about that.
I mean, it's a cool image.
He and Croc fight, and they're like both get stabbed by the like.
Right, the rod thing.
The spear or something.
Yeah.
Like.
That's when he
stabs
like
him and
falling.
Hold on. There you go.
So he threw him out the window, and then he fell, and then he grabbed onto this spear rod thing, and then I don't know how he ended up back with because didn't he throw him out the window? That's the weird part.
He's going out the window.
Right.
Yeah, that was so confusing.
For some reason, I had it in my head that was like a dream sequence or it was like a nightmare sequence.
The whole thing felt like a dream sequence. The whole thing.
That's what I struggle with, like what was real and what wasn't in like the second half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it is.
Yeah, maybe that's intentional.
Yeah.
I just find that for me, like, you know, that whole sequence between Batman, Joker, and Two-Face with, you know, the coin or whatever, like that's my favorite, like traditional, not traditional, but like, you know, quote unquote predictable Batman character relationship, you know, dramatics stuff as part of the storytelling that I enjoyed. I didn't really know what the takeaway was with Two-Face going against the result of the coin and Joker's whole thing. Like we're trying to reteach him how to, was that Joker or was that the guy who was running Arkham who said that?
I thought it was the lady.
The lady, okay, Ruth, yeah. Where she was like, instead of a coin, he's using a deck of cards, and there's 52 different decisions he can make now, or whatever. Like I kind of was like more curious to like dive even further into that, but
yeah, I was like, how does that work?
Yeah, how does that work? But that never really never really came up. Although Two-Face does reference the deck of cards again there at the end.
Yeah.
Like after he shows you the coin landed on the version where they should have killed Batman, right? That was the whole point. Like he flips the coin and Joker's like, yeah, why not? We'll let like in crazy Joker way, like, let's just leave it up to chance, with Two-Face. Let Harvey aside, and then they don't show you what the flip is at first, and he's like, he lives tonight, and or whatever, or I forget exactly what the line is.
Yeah.
And then like 2 pages later, they reveal that, and then he references the deck of cards, and I didn't understand that line necessarily either, but
I didn't understand like the actual when he's looking at the cards, how they're stacked like that, and he says,
right, you're nothing but a pack of cards.
He's talking to the cards, I guess. Or
I have that pulled up.
Himself, I don't know, but yeah, I think the only takeaway that I can see from that is like, so they were teaching him this method as another way to decide things, right? And so I think that that's just a step towards like sanity. And so Batman takes the coin, gives it to Two-Face at the end. And I guess he's saying like,
it's up TK's Batcave.
Or I guess he could relate to that chaos, right? Because as I was saying earlier, he is psycho. He's crazy. So as well. So it's like, to him, that coin, it's like Two-Face's chaos. So he can identify with that. He's giving Two-Face the go-ahead to use it. But then, so I guess the deck of cards is just like leaning towards sanity. And so
that's a good point.
He still has his morals intact, even though he's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, see, I took it as like, so she had been trying to like treat him like by giving him more options, making him have to make more decisions, more options. And I kind of took it as like, while everybody else was going crazy in the place, at the end he got to a place where he just made the choice on his own. Like he didn't, he flipped the coin, but he didn't use it. Like, and then when the deck of cards was like that, he didn't need the deck of cards anymore because he made a choice.
Well, he used that to diffuse the situation with Joker, so he kind of still has some good in him, I guess.
Right.
Is the takeaway.
Well, I thought it was trying to represent that like he didn't need the coin, he didn't need the cards, he just made a choice, and like which he hadn't been able to do, and like he was the person that like at the end of this was like the sanest person that was involved in the story.
I know, which is so weird because like you go into the story like, I mean, you get the whole backstory thing. You get a history lesson for Arkham Asylum, and then you kind of get this like pseudo villain that gets killed by this seemingly innocent character, right? But because she was like
innocent, and she like,
but she felt horrible about it. But
but she was like comes up and cuts his throat with a razor.
She was savage. Yeah, she was savage. But
she was savage, and then she goes, "I can't believe I did that."
Yeah, she's like, "I just killed somebody."
And Batman, we're talking about inconsistent Batman voice. He comes back with, "He got what he deserved."
Yeah,
it was very inconsistent. I'm gonna look for some other.
Yeah. That's something I didn't necessarily, I don't know, micro manage in my head as I was going along. Like, what were the inconsistencies? But now that you're saying it, it was totally inconsistent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll point some out in a bit. Let me just look.
Like I said, I just don't really know what I think about this ultimately.
Yeah, well, here's it. Like, it's strange because usually after you read a Batman story, you can kind of gauge in your head like how much time you need to pass before you would read it again, right? And you kind of have an idea. For this, I have no idea how much time I need to pass before I would read it again. I don't even know what my interest level is in reading it again. Like I love flipping through it and just looking at the artwork. I think I flipped through it and looked at the artwork like 12 times since reading it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's only been like 2 days since I finished reading it, but like the last 2 days, I just kept looking at the art. Probably just because the art is just so striking and brilliant. But from a storytelling standpoint and like from a reread standpoint, I don't know where that really lands for me. Yeah, I don't know what I get. I mean, maybe I notice other things that connect more dots in the storyline on a reread, but I don't know.
All right, so here's a couple of weird like inconsistencies.
Okay.
So we have when he's speaking, his speaking bubbles are in black, right? And they're very, like I said, they're really brief. Let's see if, hold on, I don't want to lose my page real quick. All right.
Mm-hmm.
The one's in black.
Yeah.
Stop. There's like one word answers a lot of the time. And then, or they're just questioning like, where are they? Where is this? Who are you? Kind of thing. Then you go over here to his like thought process, thought boxes or whatever you want to call it. And then he's like, he has a completely different voice. It's like, I have been shown the path. I must follow where it leads. Like Parsifal, I must confront the unreason that threatens me. I must go alone into the dark tower without a backward glance.
I remember reading that Dark Tower line and being like what is this? Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's just doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, I guess your thoughts are a lot more in depth, I guess, than how you speak, but maybe that was why. I don't know.
Well, that I think, right, that line alone, that dialogue / well, not dialogue, that internal dialogue or head dialogue is an example, I think, of how Grant Morrison really went down like the poetry route with this in many many portions of it, and it became more of like a how do you interpret this versus this is what happened kind of thing. And that at the end of the day, that's like the takeaway I have about Arkham Asylum. It's like it's a art piece that everybody's going to have interpret their own way and then debate about what happened potentially, even though it's kind of clear what happens literally from like A to Z. Like you could kind of say, okay, this is what happened, but you can also argue about if certain things were real or not.
Yeah, details along the way were a little hazy, but yeah, I do think that it was purposely done just because of, a lot of times. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, the drug usage. Was it just me, or were they doing drugs in there? Like
there was some shrooming going on. Dude.
Yes.
There was some, I don't know what that chemical is called, psilocybin or something.
And then there was another part where it looked like Coke, but he said it was salt or something. I was like, this is
on Amadeus Arkham had like some crazy stuff going on in his backstory. I mean, part of the backstory was the first client for Arkham Asylum was a guy that he helped, give some counseling at some other facility, and then that guy escaped the facility and he thought nothing of it, and he was contacted or whatever, and then that guy ends up murdering his wife and daughter or whatever, and he still ended up taking that guy in at Arkham Asylum as like an inmate, right? Like a patient or an inmate or whatever. Like that's some crazy.
Kills him though, right?
What's up, Freaky Louie? Yeah, there was some shrooming in this, man. I mean, maybe shrooming is the best way to read this story, frankly. Like, I'll do a part 2 after I shroom and read this thing at the same time. Like,
how about that reveal though that he killed his mom?
I know. I mean, I thought that was great. That's like I liked his.
Insane.
I think I liked the Amadeus Arkham portion.
Yeah.
Better from like just the whole story of it. Yeah.
I think it's also because we never knew that, you know.
And because we never knew it, and it was like, oh wow, like this is a whole like pretty extensive like horror story behind Arkham. So which becomes such a normal part of these Gotham City stories. You know, it's kind of cool to have that, you know, origin for it. Whether it's canon or not, I don't know, but or I don't care really.
Like
but
you said, headcanon.
Headcanon, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, well, we're kind of in that time where we start. I mean, we talked about the art, we talked about the storytelling. There's really no, you know, covers for this. It's just one. There's no covers to rank or anything like that because it's just one graphic novel, right? I do have on the sales front, which you know, I don't know if people are, you know, super aware of this or not, but this thing sold like over 500,000 copies or something. Like it was massive or something, you know, for its time. Like in the original, you know, I don't know how many it's sold in these like, you know, trade paperbacks and like, because this is a 25th anniversary trade paperback edition that I have, and this is the fourth print of this. Is at least that's what it says on mine. But the you know, this is one of the biggest selling like standalone graphic novels ever. So it was pretty successful. So
it's pretty successful, but I feel like you don't hear as much about it now, though.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I'm kind of you know, I'm kind of grasping for straws, like if I've ever seen it on like a top 10 list, you know,
I actually
or anything like that.
Look, and I don't remember seeing it on like top 10 lists, but like when I
don't remember seeing it.
Like it's on a bunch of them. Like,
is it okay?
Oh wow!
And I was like,
maybe
I just didn't register it, but like
same here
because I hadn't read it, maybe it just didn't register. But it's
does it have value in the aftermarket? Like, is there like first printings of the graphic novel, like original from 1989? Like, I don't even know what they go for. Like, I don't, you know, I just have this trade and the digital and whatnot. But yeah, I have I didn't bother looking that up either. But I guess what I was getting at is we're kind of in that portion of the show where we try to rank it among the other 24 things that we've done, or now 25 things that we've done. And, you know, I don't know, like for me personally, I think it would have to be in the lower half just because it's hard to compete as an overall story compared to a lot of these other things that we've done. Like if I was ranking based purely on artwork alone, I think it would be in my top 5, which you know, for me is a big deal to say. Like I love Batman stories, and I love all the different artists that have been part of the, you know, the body of work, and I'm a big fan of comic art and original comic art, of course. So I mean, this is just singularly one of the, I think, best achievements in Batman art that I've ever experienced. And so for that reason, it propels up the list on the strength of the art quite a bit. I'm not as big of a horror person as, say, JoJo, but I can appreciate it for the horror elements and the more adult elements of it. But I do get hung up on the kind of inconsistencies of the storytelling a little bit of that Grant Morrison, like, oh, here we go again, Grant Morrison. And like for some reason, like I never grasp his stuff as strongly as I do other writers. But I'm hoping that, you know, there's other stuff out there that he's written that I will appreciate better. But although actually in hindsight, of all the Grant Morrison stuff I have read, this is probably near the top of that list within the Grant Morrison stuff I read. So there's that. But I don't know. Out of 25, I think I'd probably put it somewhere in the like 12 to 14 range without all the specifics, without having all the books that we've read in front of me, you know, kind of thing. That's just kind of where my head's at. But like I said, for art only, like if I'm doing an art art ranking list only, I think it's in my top 5. So I'll start. I'll let now you guys make an attempt.
You go, JP. You go.
Okay. Well, for me, like, I agree. I feel like the art makes this entire
McKean is brilliant.
And it's crazy and creepy, and like it definitely packs it for me. I'm probably similar, probably a little lower than you. Like, and it's more that, from my perspective, is I just don't know that, like, I really enjoyed reading it. I don't know that I'll ever read it again.
I'm with you.
It's hard for me to like rank it high because of that. Like, most of the rest of the stuff we've read, at some point I'll want to read again. Like, and I want to go back. And I don't. And maybe I will, but right now I just don't have that feeling. Like, I'm like, okay, I've read it. I'm good.
I totally agree. I think I said that earlier. Like, I totally agree with that. Like, most of the time I know the next time I'm going to read a Batman thing, and like I have it kind of in my head, like, oh, I'll let a year go by, but I'll probably read this again sometime soon. Like, year one, I literally read every single year. You know, so
good.
It's so good, right? And it's kind of been eternally in the number 1 spot of our list as this show has evolved. I mean, we did it first, and we kind of started high, and everything else hasn't beat it yet so far. At least, at least that's consensus. But I'm in a similar space with this story that JP is. I think the art is brilliant. But I don't know if I'm itching to reread it from a story standpoint. I'm itching to look at the art constantly because I've been like taking screen grabs and stuff from the digital one on the DC Universe Infinite Universe app or whatever, and just like looking at those on my computer and stuff. And it's, man, I would kill for some of the original art from this. I'm sure it's impossible,
right?
Yeah, I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's like I did search for it, couldn't find any available on the market. But
wow.
But I know that it exists because Dave McKean had to go ask people to provide originals that he had sold. I know he still has a lot of them, but he had to like get fans and other people, because for this 25th anniversary edition or whatever, he went in and did changes digitally. Like, so in the bonus materials, there are literally like, here's a scan of the original painted work. Here's a scan of the original printed version of that from the 89 or whatever.
To go off.
And then here's the digital version that I tweaked. And then here's what it looks like in the anniversary edition or whatever. So there is that kind of like process that he went through so he went back in from an art standpoint and made tweaks to make it even be closer to what his vision should have been on the art, which, it's hard to believe that, that he wasn't happy with the way it was originally. I'm sure he was, but I guess artists always will want to make tweaks if they're given that opportunity, I guess. Maybe not always, but he was given the opportunity and he did it. All right, well, enough delaying. JoJo, you haven't read all 25, and you probably don't know all of our 25.
You guys have definitely read more than I have.
So, but for you, like, just generally speaking, among your favorite stories, it doesn't have to be out of our ranking, but.
So, I told you guys earlier, but I loved it. So, I don't think it would be like my number 1 or number 2. I would really have to sit down and like write down, because that's how I get with the rankings. I have to like write everything down. But
you mean like I do, like I have everything?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, everyone has their top favorites, their less so favorites, and then their middle of the road. And this is leading in your tops.
It would definitely be towards the top 5, I would say.
What's up, John?
Around there. I really liked it. But I'm also a horror fan, so I felt like this was written for me. Like, I really did. Come on. They had Norman Bates in there. Like, a picture of Norman Bates.
I mean, this was just perfect for you, I thought.
Yeah,
like,
and
the blend of horror and Batman. It's just
there were definitely some confusing parts, that's for sure. But I think when you're talking about, a huge haunted house full of nutsos, they wanted to kind of make that like weird, abstract, atmospheric feel. And that's what I got from it, that you don't quite know what's going on. And it's just really freaking creepy. And they definitely got that across in both the, the story and the art. So
did this come out around Halloween time, 1989? I hope so, for whoever.
Probably
around then.
But yeah, and then something that we didn't talk about that I did notice too was the whole April Fool's thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think that whole thing was like touching on how basically like crazy people see things backwards in a lot of ways, like the opposite day type of thing. And what's a joke to someone is not a joke to someone else, and that kind of back and forth. So I liked a lot of the themes in this.
That just reminded me that Gordon was in this for like 3 pages, like that in that first
the very beginning.
The little that intro opening kind of sequence or whatever.
I didn't think I caught that.
Yeah, I mean, he was he was on the other end of that phone call or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, I did not catch that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, and then the artwork was fantastic. Just really felt like a hazy nightmare. You don't know where you're going. You don't know like what's in front of you, and it's just freaking creepy. And
did they make an animated movie out of this, or is this would it be too scary?
They don't think so. No,
not yet at least.
And the video games have the storyline have nothing to do with this, right? It's just its own thing. The Arkham Asylum video games.
Yeah. But
I've never played those video games. I have one of them, but I never play it for some reason.
So yeah, I did like the like you said, Kavi. I loved the whole Amadeus Arkham background. The Batman. I would say of the two stories, that did feel more fulfilling to me too, because it was just crazy to see that side of Arkham that we've never seen, and it was so creepy. Like that felt like I was watching a movie, like straight up. And
he's essentially haunting Arkham Asylum. Like he's got his diary up there, and it's like it's a super creepy storyline.
Yeah. What does PJ say? I would rank Arkham Asylum better.
He was saying he likes it more than Killing Joke and Dark Knight Returns, but Year One is not for him.
I definitely like it more than Killing Joke.
I like it. I like it a lot more than Killing Joke. I don't like it more than DKR, but I like it a lot more than Killing Joke. Yeah.
Well, I'm making that joke because I despise the Killing Joke. So.
Yeah, Killing Joke is 25th on. It's the lowest one on his list. I think.
Like I do not like the Killing Joke.
I think we've only read one thing that you had lower on your list, right? What was it? What was the one thing we read that was lower?
Oh, Gotham by Gaslight.
Gotham by Gaslight. Yeah, I didn't really like that one that much either.
That's the Jack the Ripper one, right?
Yeah, it's the Jack the Ripper one. Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't predict. That's the only thing I think I've ranked lower than. I actively dislike the Killing Joke, but this and looking at my list here, I'm going to say just outside my top 10, probably.
Yeah, so, that's where I'm at.
I think we're
so I put it somewhere between 10 and 12, and because I just don't have all the books memorized on the list.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, that was just like written for me, and I can't deny it.
and because as I had hit you up saying, we should get you on the show, and like I can't believe it took this long to get you for me to think of that. But and then when we started chatting together about what should we do, and I just randomly threw that one out first because JP and I had bought a bunch of trades a while back.
I'm so glad you guys did
that we had never read, and I was like, well, that's on the list, and then you were like, well, I have the trade and I've never read it, and I'm like, this is perfect. And I knew it was like a little bit creepy, and I know you're a horror person, so I was like, man, this might actually be good for her to read. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, when we made the decision, all I knew was that the art was really like creepy. I didn't know anything about
Right.
the story. And it was
Right.
like that it was crazy kind of creepy art, and I'm like, yeah, that should fit for JoJo. So, but
Yeah.
didn't know
Totally.
how well it fits. Because I did not know anything about the Arkham side of the story, that was even a part of the story. Like the Amadeus Arkham stuff, I did not have a clue that was part of it. So
I'm so glad it was, because if it was just Batman, as if it was just Batman rolling in there and kind of going from room to room and being like told all these things by Joker, Two-Face, and these people that work, or at the asylum, that would have been just weak sauce for me if it was just that.
I don't think it worked.
And
I would say that's the side of the story that doesn't work, that works the least anyway. And it definitely, I don't think it would have worked without basically, the whole premise is that the house has been haunted since it existed to a certain degree by that, by him and his family, and now it's got all these crazy people in it, and it just keeps getting, worse. So, if that's possible. So.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it.
Do they make? I'm curious if they make this in a large, oversized format, because I was wondering that would be amazing to look at this artwork in
like an absolute or something.
Yeah, like a giant absolute edition or something like that versus this tiny trade paperback. But what are you gonna do?
I want to get the year one absolute too. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah, I've been tempted to buy a lot of different versions of year one and try to have like a complete year one collection. But I was like, you know what? I'll hold off on.
Yeah, double dipping.
That's like
absolutes are so gorgeous, but they're also so huge. I just don't have the space.
Yeah, I'm pretty much. Yeah, I've got like one cube left down here that you can't even see on camera. Like that I've got left. You have
to choose wisely, huh?
Yeah. So we'll see. But all right, well, good show. Thank you, JoJo, for joining us, reading and
for inviting me. This was awesome.
Going down the rabbit hole on Arkham Asylum. So what do you have coming up on your channel, JoJo?
Probably just a live on Sunday, like usual. Yeah, that's it for now.
So this Sunday you're doing your live stream?
Yep. Probably just finish off showing some books that I have had since 2018. You guys know the story.
The second major haul that you had from 2018.
Volume 2.
Volume 2.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll probably finish that up on Sunday, and then I don't know.
And you just dropped some like trailer reactions recently and stuff also.
Yeah. I can't even remember what.
I can't even remember what movie also, but was it Venom? Venom 2?
Oh my god, I'm blanking so hard. Yeah, Venom.
Venom 2. Okay.
Venom 2, yeah.
Did you guys watch Venom?
I thought the first movie was entertaining and fun, and I had a good time with it. I didn't think it was like a mind-blowingly good film or like anything spectacular, but I had fun with it. And I thought the trailer one just for the new one looks like more of the same, like fun, fun, but nothing mind-blowing. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm excited about Carnage and Cletus Cassidy and everything. He's one of my favorite villains, especially in Spideyverse, Spideyland. So I'm excited about it.
Something to look forward to.
All right, well, tune in to JoJo's live stream, sub her up. She's just about to hit 2,000 subscribers, which is awesome. Link in the description below. JP, what do you? I mean, you got a lot going on weekends coming up usually, so you got a bunch of stuff. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I do my look back, and then hopefully I seem to be feeling much better, so hopefully I'll get all my weekend stuff put together this week, and so I won't have to skip another week. And then, it's not in here at the moment, but we're doing volume 1 of Invincible for the indie show next Tuesday.
Oh yeah, I love that book, and
we're digging into Invincible with.
Finally, you're doing another one I've actually read that I might actually be able to watch.
Well, you need to read some of the other stuff I've been reading.
That's too many, dude. I can't keep up with all your reading.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to finally starting Invincible. I have not started it yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a great book.
I think we're discussing first 13 issues, so the first big arc
Really, the first season of the TV show ends at the end of like issue 12 or 13 anyway. So it's like that's the perfect.
Basically, we'll be doing the whole first season of the TV show, so then I can go watch it after I read it. So.
Nice, yeah, that's great.
I'm looking forward to that.
Sweet, man. On Comic Books NYC, I'm gonna be going live tomorrow at some undetermined time, evening, late afternoon and early evening, to do a comic art auction scene recap. We did have Micah Spivak from Comic Connect / Metropolis on the original Art Hour Beyond show with me and Tony on Monday night, and that was a great episode. Metropolis promoted it. They sent an email blast out about it. Like, I actually gained subscribers because they promoted a show for me, which is nice. But because we did that whole interview and stuff and show and tell with Comic Connect, I didn't get a chance to cover the original art auction scenes that have been happening the past couple of weeks, which is something I usually do on that show. So I'm just going to do it as a separate, one-off covering the auction scene, because I put in all the work tracking all the auctions and taking all the screenshots and doing all that work. And so I'll get a video out of it, So exactly. So I'm going to try to do that tomorrow. And then over the weekend, I may go live at another point to possibly organize some of the sports cards I dug up from my childhood, collection or whatever. And, just because I have no clue what any of them are really worth or about. So I'm just probably going to go live and just kind of randomly organize some of that stuff. See if anybody is aware of anything I have that maybe knows more about it than I do, But yeah, so that's pretty much it. And then I'll be out of town for a bit. So, but I'm still going to be doing some shows remotely, just probably less than. It's not like I do a lot of shows normal anyway. Like I do like one video every 2 weeks. So, this is like this is my busiest week of 2021 with 2 videos in 1 week. So, and possibly 3 if I do that video tomorrow. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you guys for hanging out. If you haven't read Arkham Asylum, go check it out. It's certainly a unique for sure. It's a unique trip of an experience. So check it out. Not even gonna bother the outro clip. Have a great night, everybody.